Folks, today is Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. We're at the Operation Hope Global Hope Forum 2025 here in Atlanta. Lots to talk about. A whole slate of discussions today. We will live streaming, of course, on the Black Star Network. We're going to hear from Bishop T.D. Jakes talking about how his life has changed after suffering a massive heart attack a year ago. We'll also talk with the founder of Operation Hope, John Hope Bryan, about the focus of this year. Also, 3 deputies who were accused of tasing a black man found not guilty. We'll talk with their family attorney about that very issue. Also, Lane Kiffin is headed to LSU. But what about opportunities for black coaches? We'll discuss that in tonight's Marketplace segment. Black-owned woman publishing house and bookstore. We'll feature her as well. Lots to talk about. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
All right. Folks, after 8 years, the South Georgia family still waiting for justice after a jury acquitted 3 former Washington County, Georgia deputies of all major charges in the 2017 in-custody death of Uri Lee Martin. The jury found Henry Copeland, Michael Howell not guilty of murder and aggravated assault. The third, Red Scott, was found not guilty of murder, involuntary manslaughter, and aggravated assault and reckless conduct. Frances Johnson is the attorney for the Martin family. She joins us right now. Frances, clearly this is devastating news for the family that you represent.
And walking down a Georgia road, asked for water, and 3 deputies responded
Frances,
by giving him death.
Are you on mute?
No, sir.
I can't hear Frances. Are you on mute?
Roland, I'm with you. Roland, I'm with you.
All right, Frances, they can hear you through the control room, so keep talking. We'll figure out why I can't hear Frances here. Go ahead.
Yeah, a man walking down Georgia road asked for water. 3 deputies gave him death. You know, Uri Martin's case exposes the moral rot in a system that criminalizes Black existence itself. He didn't commit a crime. I want to be clear about that. He was thirsty, tired. He was a human being walking down a Georgia road on a hot summer day in Washington County. Someone thought that that was suspicious enough to call law enforcement, and he paid the price with his life, Roland. And so the family has gone through a tremendous saga from 2017 to 2025, 8.5 years. They've been pursuing justice. This case has gone all the way up to the Georgia Supreme Court, made new laws as it relates to the immunities that law enforcement have within the state. It's been back to the trial court level for 2 trials. The first ended in a mistrial. This last trial ending just before Thanksgiving with the mixed verdicts that we received, acquittals and a mistrial on some of the offenses. And so the family is still walking that last mile of the way with Uri Martin, and we won't give up.
Obviously, with Donald Trump in the White House, it's a whole different conversation when we talk about a civil rights investigation, anything happening on the federal level.
So I agree with you. And this is why, and you say this often on your program, and I watch it, I'm a big fan, that elections have consequences, not just for who occupies 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, but who holds the U.S. Attorney's position in Georgia in the 3 districts that make up the federal judiciary. We filed our lawsuit back in 2023, and this case has been stayed largely because of the criminal action, the criminal proceedings. But make no mistake about it, we go back into court where accountability looks different in the civil space, and we will continue to press for justice, even though we know that that avenue may be closed from a federal probe or federal civil rights claims. We're taking this to the civil justice system.
It is unfortunate that this family not being able to get justice in this case, but certainly keep us abreast of the next steps.
Absolutely. This family is very clear about one thing, that there's never been a law enforcement officer in the state's history since 1733, when James Oglethorpe crossed the Savannah River telling lies about Jesus and God, that's been held accountable for the murder of an African American. And we intend that Uri Martin's life mattered, and mattered enough to hold officers responsible for his death. And so our case is filed in the Middle District of Georgia. It's been assigned to a court. Now that the criminal proceedings are concluded, we intend on putting these officers, these former officers who are all fired from their positions, under deposition very soon. They should have received notices, just as the jury was handing down their dirty business in Washington County.
All right, then. Well, Frances, keep us abreast and give our regards to the family.
Absolutely. Thank you, Roland, for covering this story. You always do.
All right. Thanks so much. Folks, as I said, we're here in Atlanta, 2025 Global Hope Forum. Thousands of folks have attended since it opened up last night here in Atlanta. Lots of sessions talking about an array of topics. And so What is the goal? What's the focus? Joining us right now is John Hope Bryan. He is the founder of Operation Hope. And this is, how many years is this?
It's 33 years of Operation Hope, 12 years of Hope Global Forum, and probably a decade of that here in Atlanta.
Right. Yeah. And so the focus this year, walk us through that, because you've had lots of discussion about other currencies. That has been a huge part of that, the digital currency. But also we're living in a totally different world this year than we were a year ago. Yeah. A massive anti-DEI world, as I keep saying. Lots of attacks on the entire infrastructure, if you will, of Black America. And we're dealing with, look, we're in December, 300,000 plus Black women losing their jobs this year.
Minimum number.
You talk about the Black male unemployment rate, gone up to 7.5%. So it's been a hell of a year economically for Black folks.
Yeah. So the theme is future-proofing. And I've never said this on any media platform. We're honored to have you here, by the way. We saluted you amongst 50 of the most important media of the 20th and 21st century at the closing of the session. We had all the major media here, most Black media here. People can go back and watch it. But I've essentially said, you're on your own. We are on our own. Folks have told you directly and inferred indirectly what they feel about you. Accept it. And that's okay. Now that we know how certain people feel, we know we're on our own, and we can then plan accordingly. Ambassador Young Ted said something to me, who's here, 15 years ago. He said, John, if ever our civil liberties and social justice successes fall away from us, then he said, I don't think it will. The successes that he helped to put in place. If ever government is not there for us, I don't think it will ever at that time. Why would he ever think that the federal government would behave in a way that was inconsistent with his history? If we ever experience all of that, all we'll have is economics. So, John, I need you to stay focused. Don't get off in politics. Don't get off. I want you to be a capitalist with a heart. You need to build this infrastructure out just in case. It's our ripcord. It's our backup plan. It becomes our primary plan. I'm not suggesting that's where we are. I think, frankly, we're in a temporary moment, frankly. But it is good practice, Roland, for us to be self-reliant.
Right.
You have built a business that is relatively self-reliant. I have tried to build businesses that are relatively self-reliant. I think that is important for people to get an insurance policy, a will, buy a house. If you can, start a business. If at the very least, let your 9 to 5 financial 5 to 9, your side hustle. But no one's coming to save you. You're on your own, and that's okay. By the way, we've been doing so much with so little for so long, we can almost do anything with nothing. We've made culture and cool its own currency. We've done that globally. Over 6,000 years, we are cool around the world. Why can't we now master capitalism, commerce, money, and business? And I think we can.
So whenever I hear people talk about we're doing it for the culture, I then always ask, okay, but then who owns the culture? We are excellent on stage. Other people say, no, you the show. We're the business. And I'm like, no, this is Bishop Jackson we're talking about. No. This is where we have to be the business. We got to be the show and the business. Because to that point, we talk about how Ambassador Andrew Young, I do hate to say it, but where we now are in media, I saw this 20 years ago. And I'm like, I'm telling y'all what's about to end, it's about to come down, and folk are going to have to understand how to build their own, the whole creator economy. And so again, to take your point, I see opportunity in how we can actually leverage that as opposed to thinking that that old thing is coming back. It's not.
It's not coming back. But when you're being run out of town, get in front of the crowd, make it like a parade. Rainbows only follow storms. When you had a problem at CNN or a problem at whatever, TV One, wherever, a challenge, you pivoted. You reinvented yourself.
Okay.
Cool.
I literally went.
But by the way, God bless them. You made your decision, and we hope they're successful. And you created, and you never would have done that if they had given you an overly rich contract. Stephen A. Smith just talked about how he's fallen down and had to get back up and reinvent himself. Charlemagne just talked about falling down and just getting back up. Byron Allen talked about falling down and getting back up. He had to train his white salespeople to deal with racism because the white salespeople in his company would have to deal with people who didn't want to deal with Byron and would call Byron the N-word to the white salesperson of his media company. So he had to train them to deal. That was deep. Had to train a white person of how to deal with racism that was going to come through at them through to him. And because he said, look, this is business. Business is not personal. And he pivoted around that, and he's built this great enterprise. By the way, you're the first person to turn me on, introduce me to Byron, to give you credit where credit is due. And so you have all these examples. Some are on the stage, some not. Tyler Perry, and of course Oprah Winfrey is a world all of her own, that have over and around it through it, have gotten to it. Tomorrow, to your credit, of not just being a PhD, but a PhD too. Don't just talk yourself into a coma. Do something. Tomorrow, we have a group coming back together to finish the business plan for Black America that we framed up on April 4th of this year in Memphis, Tennessee, at the place where Dr. King was assassinated. On his anniversary, we framed up the business plan for America. And as you well know, people often hold meetings, and that's it.
Right.
So we got that same group of people to come here with Emory University and Clark Atlanta doing the groundwork to finish that business plan. By the way, you can go online right now, and download the business plan for America, the business plan for Black America, the business plan for women, the business plan for Latinos, business plan for Native Americans, business plan for Asians, the business plan for rural America, translation, poor whites. In other words, we didn't leave anybody out, but tomorrow we will finish the business plan for Black America. So you can download version 1 right now. Type that in, type in my name, or type in Dream Forward in the business plan for Black America, and you will see our results to date. And within a week from this meeting, you'll see the finished plan that people can take and operationalize in their own life. I don't know how many people that I've walked across into here who said, thanks to what you're doing, thanks to this meeting, I have a contract. I'm a homeowner. I'm a small business. My life has changed. That's what we want, is measurable, verifiable results that move people to self-sustainability and the theme future-proofing. Again, capitalism has worked for everybody else. Everybody else. The only 3 groups that it has not worked for: African Americans, not African Africans that came here, not African Caribbeans who came here, African Americans who were enslaved. We were bamboozled and confused and thrown off of the track. We, by the way, still killed it on the entertaining side, on the performative side. We still fell forward, but we didn't embrace capitalism itself. Native American Indians, poor whites, which proves that the issue is not just race. Racism's real, but if it was the only thing, you just have rich whites. So these 3 groups, out of 200 ethnic groups in America, never got the memo on capitalism and free enterprise. I think if we just reverse engineer the model, we killed everything else, Roland. This is a Jesse Jackson quote. God bless him, by the way. Where the rules are published and the playing field is level, the arts, we killed it. Professional sports, we've killed it. Faith, you had Bishop Jakes here. He's a black pope for the world. We've killed it. I think Reverend Jamal Bryant will be here tomorrow.
No, he was here last night.
Was here last night?
Last night. He's in New York tomorrow.
He was here last night.
He was here last night. He opened up last night.
There's so many folks here, even I have not a chance.
I got you.
and what was it, politics, from slavery to the President of the United States of America. So when the rules are published and the playing field's level, we kill it. Not just Black Lives Matter, Black capitalists matter. It's not like we tried this and we screwed it up. It's not like we tried this and it didn't work. We never tried it, not at scale. And then people want to tell me, well, what about Tulsa? Okay, what about Tulsa? It worked. They did it. A few square blocks, by the way. This wasn't a county. This wasn't a city. It wasn't the state. It wasn't multiple states. It was a few folks who got obsessed about capitalism in a few square block area. It worked. Yes, racists came and burned it down. You know this because you're a historian. We rebuilt it. Little known story. It played out until integration. And then black folks said, you know what? Now that I can go to the white department store, I can go to the white dentist, they left. That's what ultimately killed Tulsa. And so I'm saying it's not like we tried these things and when we stayed at it and knew what the rules were, it worked. We just need to have a national obsession. I'm going to say something really crazy. We need a black Jewish business plan. And I'm not kidding. We need the same things that this group's been chased all around the world. They didn't have a country until 70 years ago. They were chased all around the world. And they're a third of all wealth in America. They're 2.5% of the population of this country. There are 15 million people in the world. There's 8 billion people, and they're a household name. I think it's a miracle. I think that is fantastic. By the way, they're our cousins. Anybody remember 6,000 years ago? Black folks and Middle East folks and Jews were cousins. Yeah, I said it. And we need to knock off all this sort of silly stuff, stop all the noise, and get focused on a business plan for us that works. And when people ask me, they push back when I say stuff like this. It's like saying, well, why shouldn't I try God? Well, it's not like your plan's working so well. Give them a shot. So it's not like your plan with the government or civil or social service or handouts or whatever your deal is, not like that worked. So let's try capitalism. Let's give free enterprise a chance when you're financially literate.
Right. One of the things that I've talked about is the need. We have to have sustained growth. That if you study the country, it's here, 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 here. When you look at a lot of major businesses, founder passes away and not left in the hand. Kid, they want to do something else.
Oh my God!
So now,
this is such a big story.
So now, all of that energy, all of that knowledge, all of that, now it's gone, and so essentially starting over. And I've said, look, when I took over the Chicago Defender, Robert Abbott founds it. He targets his nephew, says, no, you're taking this over. Yep. Nephew, John Sistak, real scared about it. Yep. Sent Mary McLeod Bethune and somebody else. You know, they're going to ride on the train back. They're going to walk your behind here. Yep. You're going to learn this business. Yep. Abbott retires. He takes it over, builds it. Yep. Sistak, dying. Kids, a lot of drama, a lot of issues, substance abuse, whatever. Yep. They can't take it over. And instead of saying, you know what, I would love to leave it with family, but they ain't ready, let me put this in the hands of somebody else who is going to take care of the business. Didn't happen. So Sistak was the beneficiary of Robert Abbott thinking about the future. Sistak didn't do what Abbott did. And when I took it over, it had lost money for 20 consecutive years. Yeah. Does it still exist? Yes. Is it even close to what it used to be? Absolutely not. And that, to me, is what we also have to be thinking about when we talk about our businesses. Because too many are being built, and once the owner becomes an ancestor, all that just goes away.
So the audience is not going to like what I have to say next. I mean, I like anything I said. I don't really care. We need to speak truth to power. Yeah.
Is going on. Go ahead.
Number one, business is not personal. Business is business. Capitalism is a gladiator sport. If you can't run it and ensure it's going to be run properly, sell it. The purpose of a business, please hear me. You make an emotional decision, it's going to be a bad one. The purpose of a business is to build it, grow it, create value, and monetize it. You sell it, get what's called a liquidity event, reinvest that money in something you can control. You can do it in philanthropy, you can start another business. So if you are not assured that your descendants, those who you love in your life are not going to take care of this, because what we've known for 6,000 years is first generation makes it. This is all racist. Second generation spends it. Third generation loses it. This is historically accurate. That ain't black. This is white. These are billionaires. First, I'm gonna say it again. First generation makes it. That's the builder. Hunter, skinner, cook. Every business needs one. I'm the hunter, clearly. You need a skinner and you need a cook, right? Somebody who analyzes and somebody who produces a product and can ensure the product's quality. The family needs that. A business needs that. A company needs that. A country, everything. A hunter, a skinner, and a cook. If who you're passing this business down to does not have essential hunter skills, at least skinner skills, the very least cooking skills, then you need to treat them like the charity that they probably are, go sell that company or put it in somebody else's hands, and then give them, hook them up, do something. But that business is going to fall apart. And we've seen that story over and over again. It's race neutral. Now, you tipped on something that is a gold mine for this audience. There's $100 trillion going to transfer hands in the next 10 to 15 years of the baby boomers, white, wealthy, all trying to retire and play golf at the same time. $15 trillion of that, so most of that is stocks, bonds, cash, net proceeds from selling of equities. That's going to go to husbands, wives, children. It's just net proceeds. They don't want the businesses. It's too much work. So the $15 trillion that's left over are profitable, cash flowing, asset having, in that little town or county, reputable, well-known, best in class, probably multi-billion-dollar businesses that doesn't have a plan to hand it over to somebody.
The business we're talking, they are insurance companies, they are travel agencies,
dental
they are dental offices, they are even those
daycares.
Right, those are businesses.
Yes, three daycares in the city, 3 barbershops in the city, 2 nail salons in the city.
So as opposed to a lot of people do, they look at me, I want to start my own. Wait a minute.
No.
You have an existing business.
Yes.
Have the courage to approach them and say, I'm curious.
Yes.
Are you available for sale?
And their children don't want it. So befriend that person. I say this jokingly, but go get to know a white person. Go get to know an Asian person. Go get to know a Jewish person. It's a green person.
But also, the 15 trillion you're talking about, that also includes black businesses.
Well, yes, it does.
No. What I'm saying is,
yes, of course it includes black business.
No. What I'm saying is,
I'm being intentionally provocative.
No, I understand that. My point is to the person watching. You said go get to know these folks, but there are people who you actually know,
of course,
who are black. But again, is the sister? She's in Chicago.
Start with black businesses. Let's just get that out of the way.
But the sister's in Chicago. She had a real estate firm.
Yep.
And we were talking, and she's like, we have this conversation, and I said, go buy another firm.
Yes.
And she's like, damn, I gave a speech at the Department of Transportation, and I was talking about M&A. And the sister came up to me and she said, for the last
mergers and acquisitions.
She said, for the last 3 years, my business partner and I have been preparing our company to sell. She said, we never thought about buying.
So look.
She literally said to me, she said, after your speech, I called him and said, shut that down. We're going to buy somebody.
So you're gonna be tired. You're gonna be tired of me soon. But my team is trying to pull me to go to this dinner. But I love doing Roland Martin. I love this dude. I love this conversation. I got to go. But let me just squeeze this in. We will struggle to do a $25,000 GoFundMe campaign or 5,000 are go for a little pizzeria that's going to probably go broke in 8 months. But if you go by one of these businesses we're talking about, the bank that you think is racist, they just don't want to loan to you because you got a 580 credit score, right? But the bank's in the business of making money. They can't make any money unless they have loans that pay. If you take this $1 million business you found in Gainesville or wherever it is,
Yeah.
and you take this to them with a balance sheet, an income statement, property, brand, they're going to lend you money against the value of the business. It's called non-recourse debt. So now it's not on a personal guarantee. Now you can then go to your family and friends and invest and raise the 10% of that purchase price. You already got the bank behind you. Now it's actually a fairly safe investment for me and others to make who want to invest that 10%. So this is a gold mine of an opportunity that's facing us the next 10 years. We have hustled so hard. We are so ingenious. We're not lazy. We will learn AI. We will learn robotics. We will learn this technology. You plug that in the back end of any of these companies we're talking about, they will boost the profits. I think, Roland, this is our time. And I thank you for banging on this drum and not letting up and telling people the truth about our need to pivot in what we're doing. We just have the wrong business plan. There's nothing wrong with us. Or in some cases, we have no business plan.
Right.
And that's what that's what we will repair. No one will be able to say, Roland, I don't know how to do it. When we finish, you won't be able to say, I don't have the coaching and counseling. I never got financial literacy. I didn't get, as of tomorrow, AI literacy. So that's coming tomorrow. I can't access capital. I don't know how to raise my credit. I don't know how to build. I didn't know a business I could buy. I'm trying to remove every excuse.
Right.
Because even with racism and bias and all the rest of that stuff, this country's about, I hate to say it, the world. It's about greed. It's about self-interest. Slavery, I hate to break it to you people, it was about money. Nobody went halfway around the world because they hated you, right? They went halfway around the world because you were an agricultural genius. The only person who could bring the land back to life that was dead land in soil in southern states and in the Caribbean, which was a prime land for tobacco and cotton and all the gold crops of the 20th century, in 19th century, it was black people who had land in Africa that was dead, and we brought it back to life repeatedly. That's why they needed us. We were agricultural geniuses of the land. And they brought us halfway around the world because of that genius. But they needed to beat the self-esteem out of us. They needed to build the confidence out of us. They needed us to question ourselves and doubt ourselves and pick on each other and now we're just locked in this mess. And we're rearranging the deck chairs in the Titanic. The ship is sinking, and we're picking drapes. What did Malcolm X say? We've been bamboozled. We've been tricked. We've been fooled. We've been hoodwinked. We've been run amok. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Yes, all these problems exist, but we are God's child. We are amazing. The only color that includes every other color, as you well know, is black. What are you waiting for? Why are you getting angry? Of course people are going to be against you. They're afraid of you. They're intimidated by you. Love them into the next century. Put your arms around them, love them, and still kill it. Drop the mic and do it with a smile.
Last day of Operation Hope is tomorrow. We'll be live streaming on the Black Star Network. Ends at noon tomorrow, so be sure to check it out. John, always a pleasure.
Love you, brother.
Glad to have you here. Appreciate it. Love you. Thanks a bunch.
I'm to have a legend here in the house.
Better get that dinner you late for.
Yes.
Folks, we're going to go to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
Book bans, anti-intellectualism, and Trump's continued war on wisdom.
This is a coordinated backlash to progress. At the end of the day, conservatives realized that they couldn't win a debate on facts. They started using our language against us, right? Remember when we were all woke and the woke movement and all that kind of stuff? Now everything is anti-woke, right? When we were talking about including diversity, equity, inclusion, higher education, now it's anti-DEI. All this are efforts to suppress the truth because truth empowers people.
You're watching The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. Our legal roundtable is back in session as we look at yet another potential landmark case being considered by the United States Supreme Court. This one is called 303 Creative versus Alennis, and may be the most important and far-reaching First Amendment, that is freedom of speech, case of our time. It could, depending on how the court rules, open the door for a return of Jim Crow segregation laws. It's true.
If you say we can discriminate against one, you're saying we can discriminate against all.
That's on the next Black Table. Don't miss it. Right here on the Black Star Network.
Michael McMillan, President and CEO of the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back. Roland Martin Unfiltered, the Black Star Network. My panel is Randy Bryan, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and creator of The Truthing Game out of D.C. Joe Richardson, civil rights attorney out of Los Angeles. Win Cooney, CEO and co-founder Politicking out of D.C. Glad to have all three of y'all here. Randy, I'll start with you, with what John just said there. I mean, the reality is we are on our own. We know what the attacks are. We know what's going on. All right, guys, somebody want to explain to me why my box is black? Please, thank you. Yeah, come on, y'all. Okay, let me know what y'all doing, okay. And so, Randy, what was crazy to me is that we really have to be locking and loading on how do we maximize our economic opportunities. And it's not just with our resources that we have, but really, really taking this thing to another level. And as John said, remove all of the excuses, remove all of the things, the reasons why certain things cannot be done.
I have looked back at this time that we're going through right now, and although it is very difficult, I also see it as an opportunity. It's a wake-up call where we are very clear about how people feel about us. We're very clear that no one is here to save us, just like Mr. Bryant was just saying. And we're very clear, though, about who we are. We are here. The fact that we are here, maybe not where we want to be, but the fact that we have survived all that we have survived shows that we come from strong stuff and we can get through this and excel. And I like the fact that we recognize now that we have to rely on one another. We have to build businesses, but we also have to reach out to other people. But they need us as well. I think that's a message that people don't hear. But you know, the economy is that for the economy to run, they need us. So it is our time to pull ourselves up and push. I mean, push hard. I see it as an opportunity, almost to like when we were segregated, where we had to realize that we had to rely on each other. And yes, we did sell to other people, but we definitely depended on each other and recognized that we had an economic power and strength and needed to continue to build it.
You know, when Cooney, there's somebody who's watching and listening. They're like, well, that stuff sounds great. We just have to, recognize that, that it's not as rosy as one says, and we still are going to be facing racism. It's not, I think what John was saying. But I do believe what he was saying is that, this is a moment and opportunity for us to really lock and load and understand how do we take our ingenuity, how do we take all of these things that we have and really make it transformative and move to ownership, which then opens up and creates other opportunities to fund things that are in our community. When Coney, you're muted.
Sorry about that, Roland. What I think John was pointing to tonight was about ownership, right? Sometimes that ownership is through an acquisition cost, and sometimes that ownership is through championing a family business, but sometimes it's through ingenuity and entrepreneurship. What I think that we have in this particular era that nobody else had is that technology and education is serving as the great equalizer. So no more, Roland, are the times where people are like, well, I don't know how to do this and I don't know how to do that. Similar to what John was referencing to, YouTube University is the great equalizer, right? You don't have to go to an Ivy League university or an HBCU to know the basic tenets or principles of financial literacy. So what we have to do as Black and Brown people is arm ourselves with that information to ensure that we're doing the things we need to do to access financial capital and use it as to become a great equalizer. We have to continue to arm ourselves with this information. We can't continue to, sit on the woe is me complex and say, okay, well, I wasn't equipped with the tools. Well, the tools are right in front of us on youtube.com. How do I repair my credit? How do I buy real estate? Capital is always going to be a challenge within the Black community, right? Because there's this wealth gap that has persisted for over 250 years, but knowledge and information does not have to be a gap any longer.
Joseph.
Yeah, I mean, ditto, and ditto. We're in a space where we have to make a decision and say, where do we go from here? Now, there's a whole lot of folk, that have come up and done well. My mom worked for the federal government for 40 years. Nobody's telling you to necessarily put down your day job, not right away, but you might need a side hustle too. There's something that most all of us do well, maybe connected to our day-to-day profession. Just today, I've got, an event coming up. I just hired somebody who does particular work as his side hustle. Okay. So there's nothing to say that we can't be intentional about getting together, about saying, what else can we do with urgency to move forward? Because when we come together, there's a whole lot of economic power there, right? And so it has to mean something to say that we can actually come together, use our economic power to push us forward. And yeah, people aren't coming for us like that. Things have changed, and as it shall be as it was in the beginning, Bob Marley once said, so shall it be in the end. And by that I mean people back in the day went into business for themselves because that's all they could do. They couldn't get hired. Discrimination laws hadn't caught up yet, right? We didn't have an expectation of have certain things. And it's amazing what happens when you know that you don't have an expectation of a particular thing. You start to rely on another thing. So we have to make up our minds to connect. And I hope in that conference, I would have asked our brother, what's really happening is there any discussion about how young people can hook into this? Because I really believe when you look at AI and all these other things, these young folks are so much more naturally inclined towards these things, making phones work, coding, all of these other things that could help them to understand that they have value and that they have entrepreneurial value early on. So we have to make sure that we're intentional about this as if nobody is coming to get us.
I talked to Director Bill Duke about that. We're going to be airing that interview tomorrow or Thursday. And in our conversation, we talked about young folks. We talked about technology. We talked about knowing these things. But one of the things that I said is it's one thing to know how the tool works. It's one thing to know how this works. But it's another thing to know and understand the skill set and knowing that and understanding the craft. And I think that's the piece. There are a lot of folks, young folks, who want to be entrepreneurs, who want to be owners. But what I explained to them, Randy, is you must learn the business of your business. You must understand the different aspects. If you want to be a creator, it's great to love the content, to know the content and know how these things work. It's an entirely different matter to know how to monetize that content. And so really, I think where we have to be on this idea of ownership is really getting people to really break down and understand the realities. being an owner, being an entrepreneur is not about just having a CEO on a business card. It's actually meaning you may have to play all of the positions in that particular business.
It's so interesting that we're talking about this right now. I just had a conversation with a fellow entrepreneur, and we're talking about how we have many younger people coming up to us and saying, hey, I admire what you do. I want to be an entrepreneur too, or they've already started on their entrepreneur journey. But I believe sometimes that while social media oftentimes provides us with a lot of information, it oftentimes also shows a rosier picture than it is. And, I really have said that, as part of what we were just talking about relying on each other, that I want to provide information to people, and we all should provide as much information as we know and create, a kind of, university where young people feel comfortable coming and talking to people who have done it and recognize the realities of owning a business, recognize what is required of you, recognize what you need. So people feel as if they can pick up and talk to someone on the phone if they need it. Because let's be honest, part of the reason why other races have made it in business is, yes, because they've had access to capital, but they've also had access to knowledge. They, because of their 400-year head start, they were able to go and ask an uncle or a mother or a father, how do I do this? And they were always getting those lessons. And so because some of us have done it, we need to be open to ensuring that people have those lessons, and they're not just seeing the pictures of us and saying, oh, wow, I want to do what Roland does, or I want to do what Randy does. That looks great. But letting them know, like, let me just let you know, I was sleeping about 2 hours a day at that period, or you have to be able to do everything, or let me show you how you balance, or how you get money, or how you have to always, or you're always working, or you're always meeting people, you're always networking. And so I think that is really important, because sometimes people are really good at the skill, but they are not good at just understanding what it is to run a business.
When Coney, I understand how social media can glamorize. I think about Sheila E. song, The Glamorous Life. But I do think it's critically important that we just don't show people the end result of ownership. We also show them the stuff that you got to go through. Having the sister, the founder of Curl Mix, on, talking about what they have to do, what has to happen today, what has to take place, how they got to move 20,000 units or they're going to be out of business, tariffs and things along those lines. Because I think if people never actually see the pain and the difficulty, they'll think all of this is rosy. All of this is Italian vacations. All of this is kicking it in Jamaica. All of this is doing Sunday brunch. No, I think that's the other piece that's important. Being honest with folks about what it takes to be an owner and what you have to give up to make it work.
Roland, what you said is pivotal. You have to be candid with people about what entrepreneurship truly takes and the scrapes that you're going to get in any entrepreneurial journey. As an entrepreneur myself, this is something that I share with my friends as often and as early as I can. You have to be a little bit delusional to be an entrepreneur. Even you, Roland, when you walked away from that initial contract with CNN, you probably were like, hey, I don't know exactly what my next step is, but I'm going to take a bet on myself. And I think that's the scariest part.
Oh, no, I knew. No, actually, I knew. Oh, no, actually.
Rare.
No, I knew. See, because follow me here. So I'm walking through secession. So I was with, so I left the Chicago Defender. I was making $110,000 a year. They made it clear they wanted to remain a small community paper, and I said that's not what my vision is. We had been trying to do a deal with CNN 4.5 years. Finally comes to fruition. We do the deal with CNN, it's $250,000 a year. I say to my agent, Mark Watts, okay, we're now going to do another deal that equal or exceeds the CNN deal. Later that year, we did the Tom Joyner Morning Show deal. That was $250,000 a year. I then said, we're going to find us another deal that meets or exceeds the CNN and the Tom Joyner deal. So then when we redid the TV One deal, and then books and speeches. So my whole thing was, if any one of these ends, I just do this here. I just do this here. 2009, CNN, I was having lunch with CNN President John Klein, and he said, I mentioned, he's like, when are you going to give up all that stuff? Doing Tom Joyner and TV One. Now, mind you, I knew I had a 2-tier contract. So I had a contract to be a contributor, also be a show host. And I said, when are you going to give me a daily show? I knew the daily show paid $600,000. I said, but then I'll think about it. See, I never actually, they wanted me to commit to give up the other platforms. But I was never interested in giving up the black-owned media platforms. That was 2009. He got fired in 2010. My deal was up in 2012. It ended April 2013. When I walked out of CNN, I still did Tom Joyner. I was still with TV One. So I would have been a fool to walk away from the other platforms. So I knew CNN was never going to become something else. So that's why my focus was never pushing all of my chips to the middle of the table. But that's understanding and paying attention to the game and not letting one place dominate and control, not just the check, but controlling my ability to be able to tell a story, because that was stuff that they would not broadcast. And I said, cool, I did it over here.
And your purpose, right, Roland? Because I think people often say that, salaries are what people pay you to forget about your dreams. You always had your dream. You always knew your vision was bigger than X, Y, or Z. You had a larger vision. And I think what you just did, Roland, was mentorship, right? Like telling and sharing that story. The first time I heard the phrase Sankofa was sitting in Dr. Gregory Carr's class when I was a freshman at Howard University. And he taught me that meant to go back and fetch what's at risk of being left behind, right? So reaching forward to pull back. And I never forgot about that concept. So even as an entrepreneur myself, I'm always sitting at the feet of those who've come before me, like yourself, like the other people on this panel. But B, I'm also finding some mentees to try to pour into myself, right? And I think as entrepreneurs, as Black people who are trying to continue to ascend and build our communities, we have to continually and constantly be mentoring the next generation, because oftentimes they are feeling left behind. They are feeling confused. They may not have had the plan as clearly delineated as you did, Roland, but with the help, with the leadership, with the mentorship, I truly believe the next generation can get there, and we can't lose hope and faith in them.
Joe, what we are looking at here, and again, when we talk about what the conversations people are having here, and some other stories that we have. There was a brother we're going to have his story, tech company. I met him here 3 years ago, and how me introducing him to somebody else completely transformed his business. I think that's another thing that we have to recognize. Not being selfish with our relationships. And so I may not be able to benefit from that particular person, but if I can connect these two people and something magical happens, great, that's awesome. And I think a lot of people have to be thinking that way as well, and not be selfish when it comes to actually helping somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, the best show in the world goes bankrupt with no audience. And I like to say, some people say it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. What I say is the best of worlds is when what you know comes in contact with who you know. And things are very cyclical. It's a small world. Sometimes you see people on the way up and you're a little bit higher than they are, or vice versa. But things can change. And so it's really very, very important to be a river instead of a reservoir. By that, I mean, it's okay to let things flow through you. What a reservoir does, a reservoir holds and hoards. And the only thing that's bad about that is when you holding stuff that's dirty or that's not good or that's no good because you feel like, among other things, maybe it is good, but you don't want to share it, right? My daughter told me once when she was 2 years old about the sink. She said, you have to share the sink with me because sharing is caring. And sharing is caring because if you do share, what you send out will absolutely come back. It's a small, small world. There's 2 or 3 degrees of separation in our circles with any and everything, politics, entertainment, etc. So we really have to be intentional, understanding that there's nothing to be insecure about if you help somebody connect the dots, because that is going to create an energy that allows someone to help you connect the dots as well. People have to get comfortable with the fact that much of their help, as it pertains to the big come up, the thing that God put in their heart a long time ago, and they don't quite have the details worked out. A lot of that help is going to come from people you don't even know. And a lot of folks don't realize that, and they can't get their head wrapped around that. And part of what we all need to do is to be that sharing, caring person that says, this brother's trying to make it, this sister's trying to put it down. I'm going to help connect the dots because I know not only do they have this unique contribution to the world, but when my contribution and their contribution work together, we've grown the pie and created a bigger world. So, and a bigger pie lets us all eat. It's our own miracle of 5 loaves and 2 fish. We have to be intentional about doing that so that we move us all forward, us being US, all of us.
Indeed. Folks, going to go to a break. We come back. Bishop T.D. Jakes, I talked with him about a year ago, suffering a massive heart attack, dying 3 times. What he's now doing, not leaving the ministry, but focusing on other things. A fantastic conversation. You do not want to miss that. Next, right here on Rolling Martin Unfiltered. Don't forget, support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars make it possible for us to be able to build and grow and do the things that are necessary to cover the stories that are critically important. So many people have stopped me here at Global Hope Forum talking about how they watch the show, how important it is. One woman said she has her kids watching. Y'all, this is the place where we have to have real, substantive conversation about things that matter to our community. Your support is critical. Join us via of course, if you want to do Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. Just sit right here, bottom left-hand corner. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Check some money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Back in a moment.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
Hey, I'm Tasha Cobbs, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. But I need a little filter. I need something. Blow me out. Make me look 35.
The show. It has been one heck of a year for Bishop T.D. Jakes. We sat down and talked about this past year, what he has endured, and what his focus is now that his daughter and son-in-law have taken over the Potter's house. It's my conversation from Hope Global Forum 2025 with Bishop T.D. Jakes. All right, Bishop Jakes, good to see you.
Thank you, my brother.
You've had an interesting year.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Quite a year.
It transformative and challenging. Just talk about just a year ago. You on the stage.
Just a year ago, almost to the week, I had a massive heart attack on stage and didn't know it was a massive heart attack. Almost died and had to have emergency surgery. And since that year, I've come back full force, doing everything I want to do, preaching sometimes, doing my podcast sometime, doing next chapters with them, traveling, speaking, doing everything I ever wanted to do. But it's by the grace of God. I don't take it for granted. It's really by the grace of God. I almost left y'all 3 times. My heart stopped 3 times.
It was, I knew, first of all, listen, I've been in media for so long, so I knew it was serious when your daughter and others, when they released the statements.
Yeah.
And so what I always look at, it's what's in between the lines.
Yes.
And literally when I saw it, I went, this is major.
Yes.
Was not being said.
No.
Was not being revealed.
Yeah.
I called 2 or 3 people who confirmed. I was like, no, this is major.
Yeah, it was.
And it was just, and the point that you made, and I've seen other interviews, and I was like others, saw the video. It wasn't like we've seen in other cases. You just sort of just stopped.
I just stopped. I mean, I didn't even know it was a heart attack. I just stopped. They had to pry the mic out of my hand.
Oh, I know.
I was holding that mic.
Right.
I wrote, "Don't
you
drop
were
the
trying
mic."
to stay.
Yeah,
and don't. Like, we gotta go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to bless the people because I didn't want them to be upset, and I'm up here having a heart attack. I'm worried about them. But that says something about where your priorities ought to be.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing is, folk, and I won't say our position, but the reality is, we actually carry the baggage of a lot of other people. I use the phrase, I'm not a sky cab.
Yeah.
I don't carry baggage.
Yeah.
And folk, they come to us, they talk advice, counsel, I got this, can I get help. And we do a whole lot of sharing of ourselves.
Yeah.
Where in essence we then empty out.
Right.
And never take the time to say, hold up, I can't carry everybody else's stuff around.
And you don't even know that you're carrying it. You've been carrying it for so long, it almost becomes a part of your personality, and you make yourself last. And a lot of times you don't get to you. And I make some decisions to change some things around and prioritize myself. And I'm almost 50 years into ministry.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm moving backwards a little bit. And my ministry is going to be the podcast. So when you get through watching Roland, watch me. You watch Roland first.
I'm 5 days a week. Yeah. You're going to be weekly.
Yeah, I'm weekly. So it's next chapter with T.D. Jakes, wherever podcasts are. You check it out, but watch Roland first.
But you said, but the point though, when you said about ministry, I think people lose sight of the fact that because of media, and you've understood this for decades, you're actually speaking to far more people than those who are sitting in pews.
Absolutely.
And if you get so locked into, no, I need to have all the seats filled in the pew, not realizing it's thousands, hundreds of thousands that are out there, and you have 10,000 in the front, but it's 100,000+, 200,000 and more, 500,000 who's watching.
That's what I figured out while I was laying on my back. I could reach more people sitting down than I could running down the house sweating and hollering. And at this stage, my next chapter is to have those conversations with people that others don't normally get a chance to have a conversation with. And it's not only good for the listener, it's good for the person I'm talking to.
But you've also been, so it's funny, you're talking about this podcast and these conversations, and you have had these starts and stops and fits, and you've been trying to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, what, three or four different times?
Yeah.
I remember the BET show.
Yeah.
I remember the syndicated show.
Yeah.
And it was like all these other, and you've been trying to do all of this.
Yes.
And now because of digital media, it actually is a much different place. And in those cases, somebody else had to say yes.
Right.
Now, I don't need somebody else to say yes.
Nobody has to say
Which is the same way why I created this. I don't need someone to tell me, okay, Roland, you can now do this.
That's right.
Because I own it.
That's right. Exactly. Me too. I finally figured out if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. You got to have control over your brand, over your IP, over your guests, over your direction, or people don't really get to see you. They get to see your editors and producers and all of that. They don't get to see you. And so I can talk about a lot of things that I couldn't talk about on stage.
Right.
I can talk about life. I can talk about finance. I can talk about investments. I can talk about parenting. I can talk about fear. I can go down to the prison and talk to people. I can do a lot of things that I can't do on stage. And so I still preach, but only from time to time. My daughter and her husband have taken over the biggest part of that, and I'm reaching way more people sitting in a chair.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Less stress sitting in the chair.
Yeah, less stress.
I mean, because I had a guy came up to me years ago, and he said, you got the anointing. You need to preach. I said, not going to happen.
You're right.
And he goes, what do you mean? I said, first of all, no disrespect. I said, God and I have already had the conversation.
Right.
He's like, what do you mean? I said, God told me long ago, in 5 minutes of radio, Roland, you're speaking to more people than most preachers would speak to in an entire year.
Right.
I said, so now the question is, what do you do with the platform?
Yes.
And that's what I want to talk about, because a lot of people, and I'm very cognizant, I tell people, they have to respect this. Because when it comes out of here, and out of here and into that, once it hits that microphone, you don't have control on how it's received.
Right.
So talk about, again, how important it is to respect the mic when you have a platform.
Most of the major changes that have happened in this country have happened through a man and a mic. Whether you're
good or bad.
Yeah, good or bad. It happened through a man or a woman and a microphone. And the microphone is a very powerful thing. And to be able to participate in the narrative of this country, especially at the time we're living in now, when the narrative has gone completely off track, to kind of navigate it back into some sense of brotherhood and community. And we don't always have to agree to have respect for each other.
Right.
We've lost dignity. We've lost civility.
Right.
And we can have debate. You can still walk away with your opinion. I can walk away with mine. But we don't have to be disrespectful and call each other names in order to do what we're trying to do.
My view is, you can have your opinion, but what we're not going to do is debate facts.
Yeah.
And I am so adamant about that, because there's so much that's misinformation, there's disinformation, and my deal is, I will stand hard on facts, and if I lose friendships based on facts, I'm fine with that. But what we're not going to do is just throw out BS and knowing full well how people, because when they hear it, well, so-and-so said it must be true.
The next few years are going to be very difficult for the public because of disinformation and misinformation and the ability of technology to simulate pictures, cinematic production. They can take your face, your voice. They can fool you, make you think it's you, and it's not you. And so we've got to find some kind of way to get some guardrails around what we do, because what we do is important.
Yep.
What you do is important. You challenge people in areas that other people wouldn't challenge it. You could not do that on CNN. You could not do that on MS. You could not do that on Fox. Effectively, you might come on there once and do it. Right. But to come on there week after week after week.
I mean, I did ABC This Week 4 years ago, September 2021. And Chris Christie gave this big old speech, and I challenged him directly. That thing went viral. People, they were still talking about it. Boy, he was so hot. He went in. I feel like sabotage. Ain't been invited since. So every year of that date, we rerun the video as the anniversary video. And I had people, they said, "Man, Roland, I think you went too hard." I said, let me explain something to you. First, there's no guarantee they're going to call me back.
Right.
It's like Real Time with Bill Maher.
Right.
I did a show one time.
Yeah.
October 2014.
Wow.
Ain't been invited back since.
Wow.
Oh, but they still remember. And the point I say is, I may never get invited back, but they going to remember that time I was there.
No doubt about that.
I mean, cause so if you try to soft shoe it, as opposed to speaking truth, I wasn't disrespectful.
Right.
I wasn't yelling and screaming, but I was precise in challenging.
You have the personality for the brand you have. I think your brand has to be authentic to the type of person you are. Everybody can't do that.
No.
So you have to do you and be comfortable with being yourself.
And if y'all don't call me back, we good.
Right.
We
That's
good.
Right. That's right.
I told someone yesterday, no is a complete sentence.
Complete sentence.
How many folk have you had to use that complete sentence with over the last year?
I have gotten a lot better at it. I have gotten a lot better at it because I will do things that don't even make sense, you know, trying to please people. And I finally feel like I was pleasing them and killing me, you know. And at this stage and age, I'm not old, but I'm old enough now that I'm not going to see but so many more summers.
Right.
Okay, so I got to make these count. These are the grand finale. And I want to have legacy. I want to finish strong. I want to do some real estate. I want to do some affordable housing. I want to do some entrepreneurial training. There's some other things I want to do other than just talk about heaven. I want to talk about heaven too, but there are some things we need while we're waiting on heaven. A place to stay, our own business where we're being laid off by the thousands.
Yep.
Something has got to be done about that. Somebody's got to say something about that. And the pulpit is, you can do it from the pulpit, but it's not the perfect place to do it from. The pulpit is for the gospel.
In fact, in Dr. King's book, Chaos or Community, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
He says that there are 4 institutions that are positioned to liberate black America.
Uh-huh.
He said the Negro Church, the Negro Press, Negro fraternities and sororities, and Negro professional and business organizations. And about the church, he said, too many black churches are focused on what's over yonder,
right,
and not dealing with what's happening here and the people. That's literally what he wrote.
Only 40% of black people in America own their own home.
Boom. It's never hit 50%.
No, not even close.
I think the closest when Clinton was president, it was like 46.5 or something like, but it's never even gotten to 50.
Yeah, and now it's about 42. And that doesn't consider all the people who just got laid off and put their houses up for sale.
Right.
So it may be down in the 30s, whereas opposed to 75% of our counterparts own their own home.
Right.
Why is that important? It's legacy. It's passing something on to your children. You don't have to start all over again every generation.
But it's also while they're here. Look, so you're there in Dallas. I still own my home there.
Right.
The same home that I got a foreclosure letter on, I now completely own.
Right.
My parents have been retired for almost 15 years. They've been living there.
Yeah.
My sister and her 2 kids were there when I was there. I had another niece and her husband who got married, moved back to Texas, lived there. My nephew got a job in Dallas, lived there. So owning the home, 4 different generations have lived in it, parents living rent-free.
Right.
And so it's not even a question of passing it on. Right now, because I own it, they're not paying rent.
Right.
They're not, so rent, we know most people pay 56% of their money.
Right.
So me owning the home has helped multiple family members be able to rebuild what they're doing and now take off.
Not to mention the fact the equity that's accrued in that house is amazing, okay? You could pay rent maybe more or less of the dollars per month, but you're not gaining any equity.
Right.
You're giving money to somebody else.
I bought it at
making them rich.
$122,000 today. The property value is $321,000.
See what I'm saying? So your money's making money while you sleep. We don't teach our people about how to handle money. We don't teach our people about XRP. We don't teach our people.
Okay, for the person watching, what's XRP?
XRP is one of the latest developments for digital currency. And it's a current investment that's escalating that we don't even know anything about.
Got it.
We don't even recognize that digital currency is gradually switching all over the world. I don't like it. They didn't ask me, though.
Right.
They're doing it without me, okay?
Right.
So you either get with it or you get left behind. And just to have the conversation, we don't sit around the table and talk to our children. My mother gave me for my birthday when I was 8 years old a passbook savings account to Kanawha Valley Bank.
I remember we had one. It was a credit union.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Had our own account, me, my brother, and my sister.
They talked to us about money. So I cut grass and go catch the bus and put a little money in the bank. She was teaching savings, whereas we're so busy trying to give our children everything that we didn't get.
Right, right.
That we give them everything but what it took to make us who we are. A work ethic, a strength, of resilience, and an ability to be insulted and still go to work.
You're going to love this. So last year, my sister passed away. And I've, over the years, I've raised her 4 kids, raised 6 nieces total. So I'm home this year, Mother's Day. It was the first time my nieces went to the grave site since we buried her. So I'm talking to them. So then they're telling me, my wife's sending them money every month. Like, she told me she was sending them money.
Yeah.
She didn't tell me how much she was sending them.
Right, right.
And I was like, and I don't look at the personal bank account. I'm like, I look at the business bank account.
Right.
But when I found out how much she was sending them, I was like, what? She's like, oh, no, I said, no, you ain't tell me how much you was sending them.
Right.
I said, I'm putting them on the payroll.
Right, right.
That's exactly what I did. I put them on the payroll.
Right.
They are helping do shows, run StreamYard and stuff. I said, me sending them that much money, because they're in college, I said, I don't get any tax benefit from that. No, y'all gonna get a W-2. Yeah. So, but again, so that was and a lot of people don't even understand. You can employ your children.
You can employ your children, and you can get tax deductions for saving money for your kids going to college from the time they are born.
Right.
So you're paying more taxes than you have to pay. There's so many ways that other people are using the system that's killing us, and we don't know about it, and we don't take time to hear about it. We are the nation's biggest consumers, poorest investors. You tell me about your Louis Vuitton, but you don't own no stock in it.
Boom.
You're wearing the bag, you got on the shawl, but you don't have no stock in it.
Right. Right. But that's also where the media piece comes in, because you could, but you really can't spend an hour in the pulpit.
Right. Walking
folks through that. But being able to utilize social media, have the show, you can bring the experts on, and you can bring, as Joe Madison said, you can put it where the goats can get it.
This is the thing. If you do that in church, you're going to offend some people. You're going to offend people who really came to church, and the only thing they want to hear about is Jesus and going to heaven. And that's great to hear about that. But while I'm waiting on the bus to pick me up to go to heaven,
right.
I got to have something to eat. I got to send my kids to a better school. I want to live in a place where I don't get shot in my own house. I want to have the same things that other people have. But church people only want to talk about Genesis to Revelations. I love it. I know it better than anything else. I can do it in my sleep. You can wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I can preach. But when I get through preaching, I'm going to need something to eat. I'm raising 5 kids. I had to pay tuition for them to go to college. And we need to have some practical things mixed in with the spiritual things so that we're not so focused on eternal life that we don't do what Jesus said. Jesus said, I come that you might have life and have that life more abundantly. And so we give the eternal life part, but we don't give the natural life part.
We're living in a world, to that particular point, where so many preachers are only focused on the word.
Right.
To your point, the word is also living. What do you say to that preacher about how they need to expand their horizons and their knowledge and not just be right here?
First of all, educate yourself to more than just preaching. Okay, you have to educate. A lot of the preachers aren't preaching about it because they don't know about it. They're in debt. Their credit is bad. They got a 5.8 credit rating. You have to learn about this, especially this new currency. You have to learn about it. And because we have such few leaders, in the white community it's different. You can go to a therapist for your therapy. You can have a financial advisor for your investment.
Right.
You can go to church for your spirituality. You can go to get some kind of MRI for your brain. You can get counseling for your mind. In the black community, we go to church for everything.
One-stop shop.
Everything. And so a minister has to be versed in more than one thing. We teach entrepreneurship. We teach development of how to do business, how to get access to capital, how to get grants, how to get loans. We don't just do that through the church. I had to start a separate entity to be able to do that called Good Soil. And I'm doing those things because I got tired of people coming for prayer, asking God for a miracle, and a miracle to them was a job.
Right.
A miracle was a car. A car is not a miracle. People who don't even believe in God got a car. That's not a miracle. Let's part some Red Seas. Let's heal some cancer. Let's move some tumors. Let's open up some blinded eyes. Give him something to do, not a car payment. He doesn't give it. Car's not going to fall down in your living room, unless it falls down with the payment, And so that which is practical, and that which is spiritual, and you have to have a fault line between the two. And so that's the way I live my life. I encourage other people to equip yourself, and I don't fault the preachers that don't do it. Not everybody's going to do it. Not everybody's going to be Roland Martin.
And you don't have to do all of what you just laid out.
No.
But you do have to expand your knowledge base to help bring your people along.
In some way, it's like I chose to work with formerly incarcerated inmates. 40,000 inmates have gone through our program. Mm-hmm. We got jobs, we got GEDs, we got their records expunged. Everybody can't do that. Somebody else is working with people with AIDS. Somebody else is working with people doing final wishes for them. But do something.
Right.
Do something. Contribute something to the world. So if I'm not going to run down the aisle, then I'm going to sit in my chair and do something. We just passed Andy Young.
Yep.
And he's in that wheelchair. And he got that wheelchair rolling.
94. Hey, he don't slow down.
His mind is just as bright as it ever was.
And he will run you over in that wheelchair.
I told him I was going to give him a speeding ticket.
Two questions left. First question. You've done so much, but is there something that you've always really wanted to do and that you either didn't have time, it wasn't the right moment, you were scared to do it? There's something that you always wanted to do that you just have not done.
One thing is I want to be a safe place for broken people to be able to come and know that they won't hear it again. Now, that often gets me in trouble. But we don't, a lot of us are blowing our brains out simply because we don't have nobody to talk to.
Right.
That's one thing. Second thing is, I just came back from Brazil. I was ministering in Brazil, 17,000 people in there each night. I was in Zimbabwe a month before that. I'm getting able to move around the world without having to fly back in on the red eye on Sunday morning and stumbling around in the pulpit.
They got it.
They got it. Go ahead. And then every now and then I'll come in and preach. But,
Last question. Since you had the heart attack, you dropped weight.
Yeah.
Changed a lot of different things.
Lost 80 pounds. But I lost a fifth grader.
Okay. So have you stopped posting? You used to always post baking photos and cooking photos.
Yeah, I did the other day. I won't lie to you. I posted some pictures of some sweet potato pies and some banana pudding. But you know what the thing is with me? I like to cook it more than I like to eat it. I get the joy out of
Right.
watching other people eat. And so when my kids and my grandkids, I'm old school. The house is supposed to smell like food during the holidays. And I like for them to be able to have that experience. I don't want McDonald's in my house on Christmas.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I almost don't want it. Well, I guess I should say. You know, we're having to be so careful now about what we eat.
Right.
Because the things we are eating are killing us.
All the stuff
what
that's in
we're
it.
eating is eating us.
Right.
Okay? The pesticides. You don't know what. I told my wife when COVID was out, I said, we can call somebody to deliver food. She said, no. She said, because if I cook it, I know what's in it. And that's something we got to start thinking about, that because people are intentionally trying to lower the population by feeding us poisonous food. And when I say us, I mean all of us globally, to lower the population and talking about it. So that's something we got to start thinking about. Even when you go to health food stores, it is not guaranteed that it's healthy. I got a app on my phone called Yucca, Y-U-K-A. And if you hold it up to the barcode, it will tell you whether it is legitimately healthy or not.
Oh,
and
really?
You download it, it's Yucca. And it will tell you what you're eating before you put it in your mouth. And that also goes for your soaps. It also goes for your makeup. There are things that we are doing to ourselves. I kept asking myself, toilet paper, I said, why am I burying all of these people with cancer? And it's because...
Younger and younger.
Younger ages, heart attacks, younger ages. What we are eating is eating us.
Absolutely. I did say they had to. You spend lots of time in Africa. The continent is exploding. The next 30 years.
Yes.
Six of the 10 fastest economies are in Africa.
Yes.
Explain specifically to African Americans that we've got to stop this nonsense of being, a lot of people are anti-immigrant, especially African immigrants, but also Africans also have to understand the real history of African Americans. There is opportunity there if we learn to actually communicate with one another and realize that we can actually do some amazing things. There are tremendous opportunities if we actually
From
take advantage.
Alex Haley forward, when he wrote Roots, he has been teaching us you can't have fruit until you accept your roots. You have to understand that Jews have a respect for Israel, whether they've been there or not. You cannot despise your mother or father, in other words, ancestors, and live a long life. And they've got the fastest growing economy. They've got the youngest demographic. They're putting out more college equipped people than any other place in the world. And we think they're all running around with flies and big bellies.
Nope.
That's not the truth anymore. They got 5-star hotels. They got highways. They got people with degrees in subjects we don't take. Okay? Chemical engineering. You know, they're doing things over there that we have never thought about doing over here. We are better together than we are apart. If we can't do business with the people in our country, we can do business with people in other countries.
That's right.
We have an opportunity, because of technology, to do things with all kinds of people that we normally would never have a chance to do.
And we ain't talking about digging wells.
No.
Which is important, but it goes way beyond that.
You can go way beyond that. You can sell your products in Zimbabwe. We got the same kinky hair. We got the same hair bumps. We got the same texture skin. Why are we allowing Asian people to make our hair care products? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. So you have to understand that we are better together when we recognize the entire African family, because the world recognizes the whole African family. They do the same. We went through slavery. They went colonialism. We all have a story to tell. There is not a person of color in this world that doesn't have somewhere within the last 3 generations a story of trauma to tell. So when you start talking about trauma, you have to realize epigenetics means that we have a biological trauma that affects the way our DNA reacts. Even though we weren't there, We inherited it.
Absolutely.
Okay? Then there is the psychological trauma, generational trauma. That's the trauma you experience or your parents experience. That is psychological. The other one is biological. We got both. And you know how the study started? The study started with Jews who were descendants from the Holocaust, how they were affected physically, even though they weren't in the Holocaust. They inherited the trauma of their ancestors. Let's stop denying our ancestors and understand them. And they need to understand us.
That's right. Because both have trauma.
We both have trauma.
Absolutely.
Colonialism wasn't that much better than slavery.
And colonialism, in many cases, it still is happening today.
It's still happening today. Slavery is still going on today. People are still being sold today. People are being sold into slavery today. Not just in Africa, in America, right up under our nose.
And then there's slavery without shackles.
Yeah, there's abduction of women, women being snatched off the street, disappeared, not covered by the news, not picked up by the press.
Yeah, we have a segment on my show called Black and Missing.
Black women have more hysterectomies than their white counterparts. There are little subtle things that are being done to take us out of this world that we say nothing about.
Yep.
We say nothing about. And it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. It's a subtle way of discrimination. You can't say that you don't want immigrants, but you'll take white South Africans, but not black people. An immigrant is the immigrant. If it's going to be an immigrant, let it be irrespective of the color of their skin. So you lose legitimacy when you have one attitude for black and brown immigrants, but white immigrants are, well, if you're from Norway, come on over. There are people in Nigeria with just as much education as people in Norway, so let's not make it meritorious. Let's be real. You done got me started. I'm over in your lane now.
I just asked the question.
Let me be still. Let me be still.
I
You
just asked
tricked
the
me.
question.
You got me out there.
Well, Bishop.
But I am so happy to be at the John Hope Forum and to have an opportunity to have the kinds of conversations that we're having about business, about life, about opportunities, about ownership, about stewardship. You know, the things that I'm doing now, I own them or I don't do them.
There you go. There you go. Well, you know, I believe in that totally.
Yeah.
Bishop, when you say it's good to see you, it's good to see you upright.
Thank you.
On this side.
Yes.
And keep building. And anything, I always say, keep having fun. My hashtag is live life, love it.
I'm having a ball. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks
God bless you.
All right. Bishop was a little fired up there. Joe, what your thoughts? There's a lot that we covered there. Just your thoughts.
First of all, we're glad that he's well and that he's in a good shape and position. And it's wonderful to be reminded of the principle that faith without works is dead. Most of us have jobs because somebody had an entrepreneurial idea. So it shouldn't be so foreign for us to have an entrepreneurial idea as well, really connecting the dots. I particularly love what he said about connecting and being in business with people that look like us, that think like us, that have hair texture like us, but might be 10,000 miles away. There's no reason we can't make that happen, particularly given technology. So we have to be reminded we really do need to think globally, whether you're talking about being in business or whether you're talking about doing the gospel. All of the above. We need to think globally, and we're not thinking quite right unless we are thinking of something and pushing towards something that's bigger than us, that's legacy connected, and that can be passed on. That's how you live, that's how you grow, and that's where we need to be.
When Coney.
Can you guys hear me? Hello? So when you think about what Bishop Jakes was saying, he's an example of how to pass a family business down successfully, which you've seen him being able to do with the Potter's House Ministry and his daughter, Sarah Jakes Roberts, as well as her husband, Touré Roberts. It's something that's so impactful to the Black community and particularly to the Black church, the fact that they've been able to actually create leadership within their own family. I love that anecdote, Roland, that you mentioned about putting your nieces and nephews on payroll. In essence, Bishop Jakes was able to do the same thing through his Potter's House ministry, and that's something that I'm sure that they hope will continue to be generational. But I think John Hope Bryant said it best, is that you have to be able to groom that talent inward, and if it's not able to be groomed inward, you have to be able to smartly pivot, because that is a multi-million, billion-dollar business. Yes, it's ministry, but the Potter's House, the ministry that they do, the services that they provide domestically and internationally, that's all a business. Another thing that I love that Bishop Jakes talked about, and that you talked about, Roland, was the democratization aspect of media. Now we don't have to wait for the big networks to pick us up. You can have a microphone, a telephone, a ring light, and have your own podcast and champion the thoughts that you want to champion. So I think that has really democratized the way that we do business here, and the way that people can really they don't have to be in that pulpit anymore. You know, thinking about someone like Bishop Jakes that is getting older but is so impactful, it's incredible that now he's able to impact that amount of people sitting from a chair and not necessarily having to overexert himself. So I think that's just the beautiful part about technology, about the democratization of technology, is that you can continue to touch people no matter where you are, whether you're remote or in person. You can continuously and constantly live stream. And that's why the Black Star Network is so impactful in itself.
I thought Randy was important when he talked about no, and how many people he had to tell no, because you give and you give and you give and you give, and you do have to be. I fundamentally believe be selfish with your time and your energy, because it can absolutely run you down, and that was one of the things he talked about.
I chuckled when you were having that conversation because, you know, I know personally that, Roland, you are very skilled at saying no. I can send you a long paragraph asking you a question about something and you'll write back no, but no is a full sentence and no is a complete answer. And I had to grow to say no and to protect myself, because people will keep asking you for things and take and take and take. And you have to realize, you know, which Dr. Jake said, is prioritizing yourself and particularly prioritizing your health. I love the whole theme of reinvention, right? You know, even as we get older, particularly as we get older, we have to learn how to reinvent ourselves, where we are still making an impact, but we realize that we can do it differently. There's many ways to do something. And I like that, you know, you can indeed teach an old dog new tricks. Like, I am constantly learning how to do things differently. We cannot get stuck. So I thought that was a powerful part of your conversation. Another part that really affected me or impacted me was talking about running your family like a business. We should be thinking about how do we continue to make things better from generation to generation. What are we doing to ensure that our future generations are going to be more successful or have things easier than we have it? I have a good friend who they actually make loans every year within the family, where people have to make presentations about what are we going to invest in, who has the best business idea or wants to buy a house. And I just think that is just very powerful. And we see how, you know, the Jakes family has definitely done that. And then lastly, of course, you know, I am very much about how propaganda affects us and how we've been taught. You know, I tell people the first thing I learned about the continent of Africa was, you know, watching late night TV and the commercials saying, you know, feed a child for 1 cent a day or something like that. And just showing us, my people, as always poor with flies flying around them. And Africa is booming right now. That's why when I travel, I really try to post pictures of the different countries I get to go to, because it's exploding. And we have to realize that it's purposeful, that the majority culture has tried to teach us to hate from where we came and from our people. That is our family. And so there's so much power in us uniting, and it's against people. People would not fight so much against us uniting if it were not powerful. So we definitely need to work against that. But no, it was an excellent conversation. Excellent conversation.
All right, then, folks. Got to go to a break. We come back, more to talk about, including our marketplace segment right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network, live at the Hope Global Forum in Atlanta. Back in a moment.
This week on the other side of change.
Book bans, anti-intellectualism, and Trump's continued war on wisdom.
This is a coordinated backlash to progress. At the end of the day, conservatives realized that they couldn't win a debate on facts. They started using our language against us, right? Remember when we were all woke and the woke movement and all that kind of stuff? Now everything is anti-woke, right? When we were talking about including diversity, equity, inclusion, and higher education, now it's anti-DEI. All this are efforts to suppress the truth because truth empowers people.
You're watching The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. Our legal roundtable is back in session as we look at yet another potential landmark case being considered by the United States Supreme Court. This one is called 303 Creative versus Alennis, and may be the most important and far-reaching First Amendment, that is freedom of speech, case of our time. It could, depending on how the court rules, open the door for a return of Jim Crow segregation laws. It's true.
If you say we can discriminate against one, you're saying we can discriminate against all.
That's on the next Black Table. Don't miss it. Right here on the Black Star Network.
Are you ready for the holidays? This week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're talking about all things anxiety and the holidays, whether it's performance anxiety, presence versus presence, making certain that everybody in your space understands the boundaries and how to respect your home. This week, we're talking about those things that will allow you to have a peaceful holiday season.
It really is not about perfection. It's really about, the house feeling warm and cozy and peaceful.
You don't have to like everybody, but what you can do is be cordial in those environments.
That's all this week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on Black Star Network.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Godfrey, the funniest dude on the planet. And you're watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, Planting People, Growing Justice is a black-owned, female-led publishing house and bookstore focusing on literature to touch the lives of children. Dr. Artika Tyner is the owner. She joins us from St. Paul, Minnesota. Glad to have you here on the show. Let's talk about these books that you actually do. These children's stories. Are they illustrated? Is it text only? And really, what is the focus of these books?
The books are illustrated picture books, and the illustrations are an opportunity, especially for young Black children, to see themselves reflected on the pages of the books and to see them travel to places around the world, have experiences. So opening up those windows of opportunity.
What's the age group that you're targeting?
Our age groups start at the cradle. Literally, those opportunities for those board books, we introduce some of those life skills through our Difference Makers series. And then we also, through our picture books, reach those grade levels from kindergarten to 5th grade. And through our Difference Makers series, that's for those middle grade readers aging from 6th grade to 8th grade and beyond, because our goal is to create a love of reading starting off young.
When did this idea first enter your spirit? And you said, you know what, I got to do this.
It entered my spirit very early on as a civil rights attorney, probably about 15 years ago, seeing that there was something that I couldn't ignore, that most of my clients learned how to read while in prison. In America, we've created a rule of 4. 1 in 4 American children struggle to read. If you're not able to read by 4th grade, you're 4 times more likely to drop out of school, and then 3.5 times more likely to be arrested during your lifetime. I shouldn't be able to, as a researcher and a civil rights attorney, to predict that level of data with accuracy. So instead of just lamenting the problems and saying, oh, isn't that too bad? I decided to take action to make sure that not only our children could read, lead, and make a difference in the world.
Questions from our panel. Kuna, you first.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the work that you're doing. It's incredible. One question I had is, being that you've kind of founded a Black publishing house, can you talk a little bit more about how that pours more back into the Black community? I think oftentimes when people are thinking about wanting to write a book, oftentimes they're stumped about where to start, right? So how does your organization help with, supporting Black authors who want to publish either independently or under a Black publishing house?
It's a very critical question. I grew up with community organizers here in our Rondo community with that mantra of got voice, got power. And what a powerful way to share our voices through stories. So our publishing house is doing something that's disrupting the industry by saying we need Black voices, we need Black illustrators, we need to make sure that we're doing exactly what Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop told us to do. Build those mirrors. That way our young people can see a positive representation of themselves on the pages of books, and then also build those windows for all children to build bridges across cultures. So we are welcoming Black authors to join us, to share those stories of history, lessons learned in life, things they'd like to explore, because overall, the essence of our work is to bring joy in our community through the power of reading.
Joe.
Thank you so much for what you're doing as another civil rights attorney, one-to-one. Of course, what you're doing is incredibly important. Do you find that you're able to take positive advantage of the fact, sometimes we don't miss something until it's gone or until it's threatened? Do you see the things that are going on now in society, whether it's administration, attacking DEI, and all of these issues, environmental justice, et cetera? Has this created an opportunity for you to redraw attention to justice issues and to start early through allowing young people, parents, reprioritizing this and allowing this to come back to the forefront and to be reminded, perhaps like kids were reminded in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s?
This is our mission. When we first started this journey, I had the opportunity to meet with the late Congressman John Lewis. And one of the things that we talked about was even Dr. King's legacy, that his first book was not a biography. It wasn't a compilation of his sermons. In fact, it was a graphic novel. He was trying to reach those young people in middle school and grade school through the power of a comic book, using the stories to teach how to engage in nonviolent resistance. So as I received that guidance from Congressman John Lewis to focus on how books can be more than just something that you read, that books can be those instructional tools on how to get organized for change. It can be that motivation to take those first steps to lead in your community. And more importantly, it's that notion you can't be what you cannot see. Our books allow young people to see themselves as difference makers and see themselves as the change agents in their community. They don't have to wait until they become an adult. In our Justice Makes a Difference book, the invitation's right there. Let's start now. Let's start today.
Randy.
I applaud your work. Thank you for what you're doing. It is so needed. And you are, like you said, inviting people to learn. But let me ask you, similar to what Joe was saying, right now what's happening with the anti-DEI, and certainly now that they're banning books, how do you get the books to the children? Are there any creative ways? Because they're even creating issues within libraries and at schools. So have you found some ways that you can reach children and ensure that they are getting the books?
Yes, we've taken that mission of by any means necessary. We have audiobooks. We have through our YouTube channel and online social media networks as well. We do readings virtually. We also have gone back to the basics. It's important to have the opportunity to have our grandparents reading with our children, our aunts and uncles, our pastors, bringing together everyone in the community. So I would say the most important thing of our efforts, the manifestation of it has been bringing the community together and making reading our own. Because if we make a reading our own and build a culture of reading where we can explore and find joy in reading, it's not limited to a book ban. It's not limited to which books the library selects. It's the only limitation is, can we produce enough books to continue to create the content that people need and clearly they desire and want as a part of their home library, as a part of their community library. So unconventionally, we've been partnering with groups like Little Free Libraries to make sure that we have our books available throughout communities nationwide. And we also have a branch of our work in Ghana, so also globally.
Fantastic.
All right, then, folks, if you want to check out these books, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com, shopblackstarnetwork.com. You'll see all the books there on the website. Of course, Christmas is coming up. These would make for some great gifts. Listen, I know folks love getting toys and clothes and athletic shoes, but there's nothing more powerful than feeding the mind of a young person. So be sure to go to shopblackstarnetwork.com to check it out. Doc, I appreciate you joining us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me.
All right, folks, quick break, then we come back. I keep telling y'all Donald Trump is a racist, and wait till I show y'all this racist, bigoted comment he made at today's cabinet meeting. Remember my book, White Fear? I told y'all how the browning of America is making these white folks lose their minds. We have another example, this time from that idiot Trump. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
This week on the other side of change.
Book bans, anti-intellectualism, and Trump's continued war on wisdom.
This is a coordinated backlash to progress. At the end of the day, conservatives realized that they couldn't win a debate on facts. They started using our language against us, right? Remember when we were all woke and the woke movement and all that kind of stuff? Now everything is anti-woke, right? When we were talking about including diversity, equity, inclusion, and higher education, now it's anti-DEI. All this are efforts to suppress the truth because truth empowers people.
You're watching The Other Side of Change only on the Black Star Network.
Now that Roland Martin is willing to give me the blueprint, hey, Cyrus, I need to go to Tyler Perry and get another blueprint because I need some green money. The only way I can do what I'm doing, I need to make some money. So you'll see me working with Roland. Matter of fact, it's the Roland Martin and Cheryl Underwood show. Well, should it be the Cheryl Underwood show and the Roland Martin show? Well, whatever show it's going to be good.
All right, folks, welcome back. Now, these racist maggots, these folks, Donald Trump's people, they've always hated, could not stand, absolutely could not stand when we see these folks, these immigrants from all around the country. Couldn't stand it, just couldn't stand it. And they attacked, of course, Haitians in Springfield. They were attacking, they've been attacking people of color all around the country. They've been attacking immigrants all over and over. So check this out. They have absolutely, they cannot stand Somalis in Minnesota. Donald Trump, he attacks Congresswoman Ilhan Omar any chance he can get. All they do is attack. They want pure white in this country. Bishop Jakes, you heard our conversation when he said, "Oh, all of a sudden, they want folks from Finland. That's people they want. Oh, so they want whiteness. This is what the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon-in-chief Donald Trump said today in his cabinet meeting with cameras rolling.
I hear they ripped off Somalians, ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country is no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain, and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it. Thank you very much, everybody.
You just heard a vile, despicable, racist comment from a vile, despicable, racist person, Joe.
Yeah, you did. That's what it is that we're looking at now. And so just in case you weren't sure what was what, you can't shine a good light on that. You can't make that look or sound any better than what it actually is. There's a whole lot of folks out here that are scared of folks that don't look like them, scared of folks that don't think like them. And he's at the front of it. And, the pot calling the kettle black, talking about persons X, Y, or Z complaining. He complains more than anybody out here. He's the complainer in chief. And so when you have that, you need to make sure that the wool's not put over your eyes in terms of what his thoughts are. And that's why, and go ahead and connect that to African Americans as well, not just our Ethiopian Americans or our native Ethiopians that have come to this country legally. Connect black folk. All black folk are in this box together in his eyes. Okay. And so you need to see that for what it is, and deal with it accordingly. Quit acting like it's something other than what it is. There's no gray area in that. And then you add the whole little administration, half of which are not, the sharpest tools in the shed, where their elevator does not necessarily go all the way to the top, have more nerve than the toothache. They're clapping like he just did something. Like, okay, yeah, we agree. But ultimately, what they're talking about and what he's talking about is rooted in fear/hate, and people are somewhere in that spot. There are some people that aren't necessarily bad people that are fearful. They shouldn't be, but they are. And then there are other people that get to be fueled by hate, and it's terrible when they're justified in doing so by the President of the United States. But again, this is what you have. Quit acting like it's something other than what it is that you see. No, you see exactly what it is that you think you see. And if anybody like us was sitting in the chair like that, or Barack Obama was sitting in that chair and said something like that, listen, they banged on him for wearing a tan suit. So if he said anything like this, we all know that they'd be impeaching him tomorrow. Okay. So it's really interesting what privilege does. It's really interesting what the facilitation of hate does. And so those that have the inclination to hate, just realize that while he's doing that, while you're doing that, and he's got you all riled up because you think somebody doesn't look like you he's picking your pocket. All right? Open your eyes.
Yeah, I mean, Randy, it's very simple. Look, they want white people. I wrote my book. I keep trying to explain to people. I saw this coming. 2009, I sat there and said, we're living in the age of white minority resistance. These white folks are losing their mind. They cannot handle the browning of America. That's why I titled the subtitle, how the browning of America is making white folks lose their minds. And so they are angry, upset. I just saw this tweet, control room, let me know when y'all have it. I mean, this racist, Elon Musk, all he tweets about are white fertility rates and how, oh my God, this is awful. So they can't stand it. And here's the deal. Ain't nobody on this panel white. It ain't our fault y'all stop screwing. It ain't our fault y'all stop having babies. Like, seriously, what's my song? It ain't my fault. What time is it? It ain't my fault. So they're angry and upset. These Midwestern towns, these cities, they're dying. Immigrants, but they don't want. This is Randy, literally, this is what Elon Musk was responding to this tweet. This tweet said, white people are on the verge of extinction. Global population of white people. 100 years ago, roughly 35%. 50 years ago, roughly 20%. 25 years ago, 15%. Today, just 8%. White people are the minorities and must take their countries back. No more tolerance, no more suicidal empathy. And the graphic says, white people be like, gotta help the minorities at 8% of the world in 2021. Whites on the verge of extinction. This is what Elon Musk says. If current trends continue, whites will go from being a small minority of world population today to virtually extinct. Hey, Elon, that's white people's problems. They ain't got nothing to do with us.
And it's too late. I mean, it's so obvious that they're desperate. The way they're acting is desperate because they know this is their last stand. The browning of America has gone where it's going to go. It's going to continue to go there. They have about 10 years, and they absolutely will be the minority in this country as they are in the world. They are not the world's majority whatsoever. And everything they're doing right now is their last stand. They're doing everything. And so the fact that we have a shooter from Afghanistan and somehow they're connecting that to Somalia. It does not even make sense, right? But it's a brown country. And as we know, they're trying to expand the list of countries that they are going to block immigrants from coming from, all of them being brown people. Not one is European, of course, as if criminals don't come from those countries. It's funny to me how he's calling this a other countries shithole where I saw someone said, we've gotten rid of the Department of Education, but have the Department of War. I would consider us going in a way of a shithole country. The way that they're, that's why they're so hard right now on, abortion. That's why they're so trying to change the professions because they want these white women at home, not being nurses, not being teachers, but having some babies and definitely not having an abortion. Everything is about ensuring that they turn this tide around of the browning of America. They are terrified. And they're not even cool enough to even try to hide it anymore. They are frantic. That's what we're seeing right now. Absolutely frantic. And the reason why those people were clapping is that they're scared too. They want to remain in control. They want to keep the numbers. And what scares them too are when they see white people who they consider libtards or liberal actually having some sense and recognizing that what's going on right now is criminal and illegal and just absolutely morally corrupt, and that are saying we can't do this. This is not the America we want to go live in. And particularly when they realize that them running the country, white people running the country, is not for them. It's for the billionaires. That's why Elon Musk is so worried about what's happening over here. So yeah, they are desperate and they are racist.
It's just, to me, it's just laughable. When Cooney, this vile, despicable racist says these things, and his cult cabinet trashes other countries. I can name them. Ilhan Omar, she's just garbage. Her friends are garbage. He is a truly despicable individual. And Megyn Kelly, Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, the entire Fox News network, these right-wingers, they would be going ape shit if President Joe Biden or President Barack Obama did anything like this. But you know what? The reason they're not going to say anything, because they believe it too.
Calling a sitting member of Congress trash. I mean, how far have we fallen from respectability politics? Calling a black woman trash, calling a Muslim woman trash, calling a hijabi trash. These are all dog whistles. And you know what, Roland? It's not even a dog whistle. It's an outward, over whistle for people to put on their hoods and take back the streets. That's what I see. That's what I hear when I listen to these networks, when I listen to the rhetoric that's being spewed from the White House. Let's talk about Representative Omar for a moment. This is someone who fled their country to escape the Somali civil war, lived as a refugee in Kenya, has experienced maybe more hardship than most people have experienced in their entire lives, and is yet somehow a sitting representative of the United States Congress. I mean, when you think about what really used to be considered the American dream, that's what Ilhan Omar represents to so many people in this country. But you know what? I get why they're scared, Roland. I get why they're scared, because what we do know is a few things. 1 out of 4 people will be African by the year 2050, which is up from 1 in 11 from the year 1960. So I understand that a lot of people are having a hard time stomaching this browning of not only America, but the entire global community. But unfortunately, whatever prejudices they have are not going to stop what's already currently happening and pushing forward. And you know, I also want to shout out the squad that President Trump was referencing when he said Ilhan Omar's trash and her friends are trash. Let me take a second to shout out Representative AOC, Ayanna Pressley, and Rashida Tlaib as well, because all of those women of color that have continued to do the backbreaking work of standing up in a Congress that has continually spit in their faces and standing against this administration. We have to continue to commend our leaders. Ilhan has been one of those leaders, and she will continue to be. And I think the rhetoric that's coming from the White House continues to be salacious, but now we can't pretend this isn't happening. They're doing it publicly out in the open, and we have to fight fire with fire.
Yeah, and so for all these people, look, there's a special election happening today in Nashville. We'll see what happens in that particular race. You see what they're doing with these racist gerrymanders. We're seeing what's happening with the Supreme Court. And I want everybody watching, I want everybody understanding, y'all should be sharing this clip. Y'all should be sharing this conversation, because understand, a lot of people say, well, you can't call all of Donald Trump's followers racist. You can't say that about them. But here's the reality. All of Donald Trump's followers, all people who voted for him, they voted for a racist. They voted for racist policies. They voted for Stephen Miller to be back. They voted for Donald Trump to keep people, one guy who said he has a Nazi streak. We can go on and on and on. This is what we're dealing with. And that vile attack today on Somalis, individuals who committed themselves. What Donald Trump has said is that if you are Somali American and you join the United States military, you are trash. He's trashed your company. He's your country. He's trashed your lineage. He's trashed all of that. And his cabinet clapped. All the white folks around there clapped, including the black guy, Scott Turner, the HUD secretary. So I need people to understand, when we talk about voting, when we talk about what's going on, our vote must stop vile, evil, despicable, racist people like Donald Trump. And they can hate on black immigrants. They can hate on African Americans. They can hate on Latinos. But you know what they can't do? They can't stop us from voting their asses out. And so I'm going to need folk to absolutely focus and to understand nothing will piss them off more. Not a comment on Twitter, not a comment on Facebook or Instagram, but nothing will piss them off more when we send their asses packing at the ballot box. That is the sweetest revenge. Joe, Wincuni, Randy, I appreciate y'all being on today's panel. Thank you so very much, folks. That is it for us. We got more stuff with live streaming tomorrow for Operation Hope. Tomorrow, I will not be in the host chair. Brittany Noble will be. I'm traveling to New York. The Route 100 is taking place tomorrow night. I'm going there to support Ashley Allison, who recently purchased the route. Thursday, we'll be broadcasting live from the campus of Alabama State University. This week, the whole focus is on the 7th anniversary of the Montgomery bus boycott. And it was Joanne Robinson who kicked that whole thing off right there on the campus. And then, of course, Friday, Holman Street Baptist Church will be broadcasting from the original location on Friday as well. Lots we're going to be doing, so, folks, we look forward to that. Your support is, let me see what else. Anything's happening? Nope, that's it. There we go. All right, y'all want to support the work that we do, please do me a favor. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing, on average, 50 bucks each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. It goes to support this show, the other shows on the Black Star Network. And trust me, we're doing some stuff that other people are not doing. The stuff that we're focused on, we talk about truth. Talking about information, we're talking about, we're hitting this thing every single day. And so please, we want y'all to support the work that we do. If you want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here, bottom left-hand corner. You can use that QR code for credit cards as well. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo, RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Check some money order and make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 2003 7-0196. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available bookstores nationwide. In addition to that, you can get the audio version that I read on Audible. So check that out. If you want to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Star Network swag, T-shirts, crew necks, hoodies, all that good stuff, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Shopblackstarnetwork.com. Point your phone to the QR code you see right there on the screen. Plus, we got more than 20 black-owned companies on our website. These black-owned companies sell anything from hospital smocks. We've got car wash solution. All those products you see on my set back in Washington, D.C., backpacks, black crossword puzzles. We've got relishes. I mean, all sorts of stuff. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com, and you can check all of those things out. And so please do so. Don't forget the app fan base. Download the app fan base. And, of course, they have just a few days left. Just 16 days left of their Series A fundraise. The goal is to raise $17 million. So far, they raised $14 million. If you want more information on Fanbase, go to startengine.com/fanbase. Startengine.com/fanbase. As I said, we'll have a live stream happening tomorrow right here from Operation Hope. That'll be taking place tomorrow, and it goes up till noon. But look forward to that particular broadcast tomorrow right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. So we'll look forward to that. And if you missed anything, you can go to, of course, our Black Star Network app. You can also go to our YouTube channel. You can check out our previous coverage of all of the panel conversations that are happening inside as well. All right, folks, that's it. I'll see y'all on Thursday from Montgomery. Brittany Noble filling in for me tomorrow right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Holla!